Yes, exciting moments in our studio as we prepare for 2015. In fact, a study shows that germs spread the fastest in the office environment. And with most of us going back to school, we're increasing that risk of being exposed to germs. Well, there is help out there because we bring in the experts. In fact, we're taking precautions. Dr. Darren Green, welcome to the show this morning. Thanks for answering our questions and also taking part in this discussion this morning. Now, the office environment does make it a little bit harder to stay healthy and also to avoid germs. What are the things that puts us at risk?
I think the problem is you share space, and sometimes that space is really confined with many people crowding. So sharing utensils, not washing your cups properly that are shared, your knives and forks that aren't washed properly, the door handles, the toilet handles, etc. But what about just the equipment in the office, the copy machine, the keypad on the computers?
Water cooler.
The water cooler. And then, of course, everyone runs around with their tissues, and you're not sure if they're practicing good hygiene.
The question, though, is, I mean, what are the things that helps us spread these germs at home and at school? I'm keeping in mind that our kids are going back to school either tomorrow or next week.
For sure. You know, remember, small kiddies love playing on the ground.
Yes.
So they crawl and they walk, and their hands are constantly in mud and sand and dirt, and often now and then a bit of cat or doggy poo as well.
Oh, dear.
So, you know, we've got to keep an eye on that. But along with that, obviously, at home, you find that people often are a bit reluctant in practicing good hygiene principles before meal times even. And that causes problems.
There's the epic myth of you know, the lady that goes into the bathroom, and then when you go and wash your hands, you see her just walking out, you know, and immediately you think, what kind of habits can people adopt? What should we teach each other about personal hygiene?
I think it's like you say, it's a team responsibility in the workplace. So to decrease your absenteeism rates, you need to take ownership of actually washing your hands after visiting the loo. You also need to think of keeping a little alcohol spray or a hand wash in your bag when you go out.
You're talking about hand sanitizer.
Yes, that's correct. And some of them are quite good for you. They've got added products for the skin on the hands, etc.
Right.
So that's useful. And then, of course, we need to limit your exposure to the germs by being very, very cautious of where you hang out.
When it comes to sending our kids to school, should we as parents take precaution in sending? I mean, how serious should we be about this germ thing?
I think a lot of parents have a bit of OCD. They don't even want their kids to play in the sand.
Yes.
So they're a bit scared and afraid that their children are going to pick up all sorts of bugs. But to develop your natural immune system, you need to be exposed to a lot of the environmental organisms that allow your immune system to build up resistance. And I think that's where we need to take a little bit more of a deeper think at things.
We're also going to take your calls this morning, so write this number down, especially if you're watching for the first time, 083-913-3728, to ask questions to Dr. Darren Green. He's here to join in the discussion, but I couldn't help but think about the OCD thing. I mean, do you take the kid out of the sand? When are they allowed to eat the worms and swallow the sand?
The problem at most sand pits is that cats like to poo in there.
Right.
So what we have then is the risk of certain organisms, and one of them is toxoplasmosis, where the eggs are actually in the soil that's mixed up in the sandpit. And children, typically when they have a bit of an iron deficiency when they're young, go through a sand phase.
Shame.
Where they actually want to take sand and put it into their mouths.
Or even chalk.
And chalk, exactly.
Sounds like a pregnant woman.
Cravings.
Where do we go from here? I mean, what should we do in order to make sure that even our colleagues are, well, safe around us? I mean, do we approach them and talk to them about it, or how do you do it?
I mean, if you think about a restaurant, how people look after their hair and cover their hair when they prepare the food's important. Important also to know that people should sneeze not into a tissue, not into their hand, but rather into the curve of their elbow, as that helps and it works. It's more effective. When you flush the toilet, for example, there's a 1.5 meter perimeter of the spray from inside the toilet that goes all around the bathroom and then settles on your towel, on your toothbrush, etc. So you've got to be a little bit more, you know, vigilant.
Doctor, what have you done this morning? Now we're thinking of all those germs, but hey, there's an answer, and we're going to give you that on our Feel Good Breakfast show. In fact, Dr. Darren Green's going to stay with us, 083-913-3728. That's our number to call if you want to take part in the discussion. Before we get to more of this, Katlego, what's happening?